the way that you do the multicam edit, so you've sort of got it, the audio naturally syncs up to the footage, and then what happens after that is you sort of got to sit there and watch. You'll have two sort of display screens, and then you'll have like your source monitor, and you'll need to sort of toggle between the two cameras depending on who's speaking. And so you actually have to physically sit there, and if you record a 1 hour podcast, then you've got to sit there for an hour and toggle and manually do all that.
Yeah.
So what we do normally is we turn the speed up to like 2 or 3 times. And so you become like hyper aware of people's like micro expressions, because you've got one screen where someone's talking, and then you're watching the other screen, just waiting for the other person to be like they're about to talk, and then you're like, bam, and you kind of like, it's like dehumanizing.
Yeah.
You don't look at people the same.
It's
for like an
I have
hour
a lot
afterwards.
of those micro expressions. So
It's like having a conversation with someone on like 20 milligrams of Adderall or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like,
You're just like really lit, and you're like, and then afterwards you just, you don't see people the same for a little while. You sort of got to kind of get back to baseline. So,
try to toggle people in real life.
Yeah, you just like push them on their forehead, like when you're talking to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real weird shit. But,
It's
sacrifices.
Like stuff you wouldn't think about.
Mm.
Like there's so much that goes into making a podcast. I thought like you could literally do it like on an iPhone. Not really.
Yeah, you could.
I mean, you
totally could.
but yeah.
It'd be pretty good. That's always one thing that people said to us and whatnot, was like, just do it on an iPhone, because there's no point, initially anyway, because there's no point really. And I don't want to say that our content's amazing, although I secretly think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But like, you want to try and get your content or your ability to talk and whatnot sort of locked down before you go and buy all the equipment to sort of. It's a bit like, I'm trying to think of some kind of bodybuilding analogy. It's like, don't go and buy like protein supplements unless you're eating like a pretty good balanced diet anyway.
Yeah, or don't buy the steroids for you.
Yeah, you sound like me. Like I would jump the gun. Like when I have an idea, I jump the gun immediately, and I need like all the stuff to make it happen. Like once I was like, I'm gonna make YouTube videos. So I was like ordering all these lights online, and I never used them. Never once used them. So I don't know if you're a perfectionist. Like sometimes I get like that with my projects, and I would just want it to be like the best, award-winning quality from the get-go, which doesn't happen because it's a learning curve.
Some people just record podcasts over Skype.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like a lot of the health podcasts I listen to just remotely record over Skype.
And there are popular ones?
Yeah. Very popular. Rob Wolf, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Because you can't always get guests to actually literally like be in your studio or in your room.
Yeah.
You have to do it across the country.
Well, I mean, like if you had the opportunity to interview someone incredible, you'd be like, fuck the equipment, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Would you
Am I
ever
allowed
do
to
that?
swear in this podcast?
Oh
Yeah, you can.
Okay, all right.
Totally
Frick
swear.
yeah.
I think there's got to be a threshold for me, because I really don't like doing it over Skype, because I like having conversations with people face to face. Like it's so much better. Skype, and I don't know. You can tweak the sound and make it seem like the person's virtually in the room anyway. So it's not really on that, like the sound quality side of things that I'm worried about. It's just more the connection. And so it'd have to be, I reckon Kevin Parker, if he called us up and wanted to do it over Skype, I'd probably make an exception. But
No, I tell him to fuck off. I would.
Yeah, next time, Kev.
I think I hate Skype because I like relate it to the good old days of Omegle, and like, do you remember what was the other side? And you
Chat
were just
roulette?
like,
When I lost my innocence.
Yeah, I know. Rest in peace. But like, I don't know. Like, there's been some dodgy stuff around Skype, like hackers, everything like that. So I just stay away from it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it is a very strange way to talk to people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just like
totally.
a flat. They're just flat.
They're flat.
That's what I'm trying to say. They're just flat, and
Flat people.
that's not usually how people are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really not, and that's frightening.
Yeah.
Our brains have totally not caught up to the level of technology that we have available. It's so, it's like, even when you see, I'm not going to go into it, but when you see like reports of like usually horrible things that are happening in the world, there's so much disconnect from your perception of that versus the reality and the kind of weight that is behind an event like that.
Like kind of, when something terrible happens, like, you know, recent events, there's always something happening with a celebrity or something that sort of covers it up, and people just move on, and we're kind of programmed to just move on instantaneously from traumatic events. And it's like, you know, like for some people it affects them for a long time, but for the majority of people, like something else happens the next week and you're kind of focusing on that. And it's like, with mass media, you hear about it instantly. You know, people with their phones become journalists and they sort of capture that instantly. And it's kind of very overwhelming.
Yeah, that's why I feel like if you're embroiled in some sort of Twitter controversy or something asinine like that, you should probably just like turn your phone off for a week and ignore it, and then it'll just like move past. Because that's what happens with the cycle. People just forget about it.
I'm always like with celebrities or someone of a higher standing or ranking, I'm like, how do you get, like, are you doing that on purpose for the publicity, or do you literally just have no filter? Like, some of the, it's just insane. Like people's egos, like even though you know this is a bad idea, like they just do it.
Yeah. But they don't have a higher standing or ranking though.
No, but you know, like for some people, like if they have a lot of followers or something on Twitter, like a lot of people would look up to them.
Yep.
And like it or not, I guess they're influential because they influence some people.
Yeah. I like to empower the peasants.
Yeah.
Which is how I identify.
Power to the peasants, man.
Power to the peasants.
It's a good Rage for the Peasants.
Yeah, good Rage Against the Machine song.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? It's a weird one to get used to, but just try and keep that sort of a bit closer if you want to move in a little bit more. And I don't know. It took us a little while.
It's so intimidating, isn't it? Like, I don't know.
Like, so just sort of like that.
Okay,
it's
cool.
so annoying to get used to, but.
Can you hear me sipping coffee or?
No, we won't pick up on those sort of things.
Okay,
that's fine though. ASMR is cool.
Yeah. We fuck with ASMR. It's, you know, whatever.
Don't say fuck with ASMR.
Have you done an ASMR thing on here?
No, but I was about to say we should, but no, maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do it just as an exercise of like, how well could I edit the audio? Because it would require me to have to really finally actually understand the sound engineering and theory underneath what we're actually doing.
Yeah.
And so it would take our editing to another level to actually successfully record some ASMR and make it sound really good. I think it might be a little exercise that could be worthwhile. I like that shit. I'd probably listen to it like every night before bed.
No shame.
Yeah.
That's what I hate the most though, the interstitial bit between
that. People go nuts for that. And it's like, I wonder, like, can anyone do it? Or do you need like some special sort of talent? Would I be good at it? I'm just curious.
Possibly. Probably. I think anyone can do it. Like, I think there's a lot of videos on YouTube of people like making fun of like the plethora of
and like celebrities ASMR, and they're all like really good at ASMR. So it must be just universally.
That's the kind of world I kind of want to get into, like setting up an ASMR channel or like a premium Snapchat.
I mean, they get millions of views. Like, this is their full-time career. So whatever you think about it, like, they're kind of smart business people who are jumping on the bandwagon and following the trend.
There's an Instagram page, like a lady makes this like Play-Doh stuff, I think it is. And
slime.
Slime.
Slime is huge.
And like, she puts these they're fucking great videos. They're like all these different colors and it's so aesthetic to look at. And she makes so much money from selling these little slimes and like, she's got a whole business built around it now.
And not to mention pimple popping.
That's a classic
people
one.
go nuts for that. Like millions of views and
What is that? Is that like sort of, it's semi-taboo? It's like, I shouldn't see this, or it's so gross. I'm so grossed out by it, but I can't look away, sort of thing.
I think it's a stress relief for people. I don't know.
It literally symbolises stress, like being, okay. That's interesting. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. Don't pretend you haven't seen it.
No, I have, but I don't really watch them.
Yeah, it's not your thing.
It's not my thing.
You either hate it or you just love it.
Yeah, I'm a hater.
Yeah.
I'm a hater.
Let's sort of just check in a little bit here and touch base of what you're actually doing at the moment in Melbourne. So you're visiting Perth for a little period.
Yes.
And so I guess you're sort of in between Perth and Melbourne, but you're based in Melbourne. And what are you working on and what's going on?
So, I mean, I like to say I'm kind of based between both because I'm working for a travel company at the moment. They're one of my clients. I do their social media. And so I guess I'm lucky enough to be able to travel to Perth a lot. So that's just one aspect of what I'm doing. I'm doing a bit of blogging. I don't know if you would call like just standard Instagram content creation as blogging, but as I mentioned to you, I hate the term like influencer. So I would say I'm a bit of a blogger still, even though I don't have that website anymore. I'm doing a bit of acting, which I feel like every second person in Melbourne is trying to be an actor. And I'm writing a lot. I'm writing my own scripts for web series and short films. I'm collaborating a lot with photographers and it's keeping me pretty busy.
Yeah, no, it does sound quite intense. You were saying before actually that you're like, you would describe yourself as like a perfectionist and stuff like that. What do you think, like, I guess, where would that stem from? Do you think that when you apply yourself to something creatively, which of course, as you described, you've got sort of your finger in a lot of different pies there, do you see your creative endeavors as like a representation of yourself? And so you want to kind of make it the best thing that it can possibly be? Or like, how would you describe the underlying like mental processes behind your pursuit of perfection?
Well, I think initially when I was just getting my foot in the door in Melbourne, I didn't really know anyone. I just had started networking and going to classes and doing all of that. I would say yes to a lot of things and I wasn't anywhere near as picky as I am now.
Yeah.
I think though, once you start taking yourself more seriously as an artist and you realize like, while this stuff is fun, like it's going to be out there for a really long time, you know, with the internet and everything. So I started just only saying yes, like going with my gut and only saying yes to projects, which I think would really be a good reflection of who I am, like as an artist. And like, it sounds so wanky, but especially with things I'm creating myself though, if I'm writing a script or, you know, if I'm putting content on my Instagram or if I'm just doing content for my clients, I just want it to be the best that I can be. I think that's only natural with artists, that it is an extension of yourself. I think, I don't know, I haven't always been like that, but I think it's just a realization that if you're doing that and you're creating art and putting it out there, why not make it the best you can?
Yeah.
An interesting aspect of part of what you do is the way a lot of people interact with social media, say, is quite frivolous and it's friend to friend really. It's social and it's casual, but part of what your job is social media. Like you're very much like in deep with it.
Oh yeah.
So it's like completely different relationship with that tool.
I think it's interesting now because it sort of becomes, if you're an artist or a musician, you know, visual artist, musician, actor, anything really, models, it becomes your portfolio.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the time, this is really bad, but before for actors, for instance, they used to look at your IMDb credits. And now I heard that some casting directors actually look at your Instagram, like how many followers you have. All of that becomes important suddenly because it's, and for models as well, if they're casting a model for a campaign, if that model like shares the image and tagging the brand, that's even more exposure to hundreds of thousands of people. So even brands are becoming more strategic with who they work with based on their following. So I feel like I have a love-hate relationship with it. I love that it gives you the freedom to put your content out there and to be seen by a large number of people. But I hate that unfortunately like it becomes quite superficial and a lot of people base like casting and working with talent based just on numbers.
just to sort of establish my social status, I have about 40-something followers on Instagram, so I'll just throw one out there and I'll move on. Do you know anyone who like buys followers? Do you know people that do that?
I don't personally, but I've heard.
You know of it?
Yeah, like I know that actually a male model friend of mine from Melbourne said that his modelling agency was really pressuring him to get his following up very fast for castings and for Fashion Week and stuff like that. Yeah, like a lot of model agencies actually pressure you to do that. I feel like for artists and for like brands, some brands even do it, like big name brands, because unfortunately a lot of the time people do go on a brand Instagram page and they would see that the brand has 50 followers, and then they see another, say it's a jewelry or clothing brand, then they see another brand with 100,000 followers. I think automatically, psychologically, they must assume that that's a more reputable, popular, more established brand. And I feel like that's why, like, where that pressure stems from. But I feel like nowadays, like, there's more pressure for people to have a more organic presence. And I feel like people are sort of stemming away from that, which I feel like is the way to go and a really good trend.
Grass-fed followers, yeah. Is there can you think of an analogy for buying followers to real life?
I don't know. It's like that
building up a facade sort of thing.
It's like that rich friend who just like showcases all the cool gadgets that they have to sort of entice people to be friends with them, you know, whereas like someone, the better way to do it is to develop a meaningful relationship with the people around you. And
exactly.
And actually, I think the fundamental thing is, and the analogy, I don't know how much it applies back to what we're talking about, but is realizing that to have a functioning relationship with the people around you, you need to be able to give back to them as much as they give to you, sort of thing. So I don't know if that can apply maybe to some of the things in social media, like I guess one of the no-brainers would be like coming across as genuine, being genuine and transparent with your audience or your followers, as opposed to, I think people, as much as people kind of just quickly glance over at how many followers like a brand or a person has, and that gives them a very quick indication of it's like status or various other sort of facets to that individual or brand. I think that people can pick up on if you're genuine and transparent, and that has a lot more power over people, and in a good way as well, than anything else.
Think about that tactic though. The scary thing about the internet is that it still works. Buying followers, it works, along with other lying tactics like just straight up lying, like fake news. Like all that stuff, it works, which is scary because in real life it doesn't really work, or it ends up blowing up in people's faces.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if you guys saw that Black Mirror episode as well, which is...
I can't watch that show.
Dude,
it's fucked.
Yeah, it does. It fucks with your head. But that episode where in a distant future your status is measured by like how kind you are or how superficially nice you are to people, and everyone is in this fake world and everyone is nice just so you can like give them a like, and then everyone has a rating out of 5, and the people with a higher rating get more access to like living in better neighborhoods, stuff like that, better jobs. And actually, like, I thought that's the way we're headed too, because I had a brand that I wanted to work with, and I was just off, like, I hate talking about this, but I was just off 50,000 followers. And they're like, well, you're just off the mark. We only work with people with 50,000 followers. And it became less of what I had to offer, like with photography or with content creation, and really just that little bit of a number. You know, it's quite scary. But I feel like, you know, bloggers and influencers with the numbers there, they get free clothes, they get free vacations. Like, who wouldn't want to have like a free vacation to Bali or somewhere? They get free flights. And so I saw like a correlation to that Black Mirror episode and what's happening in real life, you know, being invited to events, being like people acting like you're somewhat of a celebrity when you've got 1 million followers, when really, you know, like, I don't know, it's just crazy to think that it's headed that way.
They're already doing that in China, aren't they? implementing a social system like that, a ranking, social ranking.
Yeah, there was something in the news about that. I didn't read it though. Did you get into that much at all? Or was it just
I sort of vaguely know about it. I probably read a headline, but but it is, they've got like a social media style social ranking thing going on.
Yeah.
They're already pretty far down the track.
That is scary.
Yeah.
Black Mirror are pretty on the money with a lot of different things, in my opinion. But also, I mean, this is the perfect juncture for them to produce those kind of stories, because it almost feels like in every single episode, to a degree, with the kind of things that they explore, it feels like we're sort of at the fork in the road of each of those different themes. Like it's sort of like each episode is an insight into, this is kind of a dystopian, this is how things could go, but it's not necessarily the way. It's kind of like, I always look at those episodes as like kind of like a little early warning system.
It's a cautionary tale. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, I mean, but going like off what you were saying just then, talking about, you know, different brands having requirements for followers and things like that. That seems like a very scary place to get into, just in terms of like people putting so much value on you as an individual based on that, and then and ending up sort of saturated with people around you that are like that. It could be like that would eat away at me, because I just feel like I would be like void of any like reason, like decent human interactions. Like that might be the wrong assumption to make, because maybe when you get in with these brands and you meet people and network, there's probably some really great, genuine like characters as well. And then it's like sort of business is business, but then there's people with human people, and there's an element to it. But it just feels like a kind of like a scary place to be. Yeah,
absolutely. And like even how we were talking about like lying and portraying yourself in a different way. Like there was recently a lady who pretended to have cancer, and she, you know, got lots of money. She got all these followers, books, and it was a big scandal. But, you know, like how easy it is to say that you want thing, to portray yourself in any way that you want to, especially with apps that can alter your facial features and your body, like to your ideal standard. It's just really, I think that's the scariest part about social media, its effect on body image, especially with young girls. Because if you see people whittling their nose, like, or something away to nothing, like people would think that's what people look like. Why don't I look like that? And it's like, people actually get plastic surgery now just so they're more Instagram worthy. Yeah. They get real life filters, because they would go to events and people would think, well, you don't look like that. You look different. And there's that pressure there. It's just scary. And I feel like it's really changing society.
That's scary. It's like they're worshipping the filter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sort of making a sort of a sacrifice to it.
Have you seen Lil Miquela?
I have,
I'm forever fascinated with that whole thing.
Yeah.
So what's your take on what you see with Lil Miquela?
Maybe, you know, like my theory on that, I don't know if it's been confirmed who she is or why she's doing this. I think maybe it's like an art project or a social experiment to see like if people buy into this, if brands want to work with you. But also like, I think it's a distorted, exaggerated version of what's happening already with so many girls and guys on there. Like people using these apps, as I mentioned, to distort themselves, you know, like what's next? Like a digitally enhanced anime sort of character, you know, it's not that far off. What do you think about it?
I'd love to be an anime character.
Yeah. He wouldn't.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I think, it's kind of pulling down it's like tearing apart the membrane between reality and this kind of cyber fictional universe and this idealized world that we're all tapping into. I think that, you know, that is as close as we can get at the moment to that. Like when people are putting up those filters and things like that, I feel like they're sort of trying to tap into this like resource of this like fantasy world of like where everyone's represented by their most idealistic views of themselves and things like that, and then that's just like this like manifestation of all of it just coming out. And it's, there's something you said earlier, I can't remember, but it triggered me not triggered, but it prompted me to think like I'm forever uncertain when I see people's behavior in public, and like all of these sorts of things are filtered to me through some kind of medium like social media or the internet now. But I can never tell when someone behaves in an outrageous way. I can never tell if it is genuine or if it is to try and generate publicity for themselves. And I particularly get that a lot with Kanye West and some of his outbursts. And so a lot of the time I'm leaning towards the idea that these people are like public relations geniuses in a way, and that it's like some Donald kind of orchestrated.
Trump,
Yeah.
You know, is this guy for real? Does he actually think all of these things?
Yeah.
Or?
I think he doesn't even care either way.
But that's like Kanye, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that you're either certain that they're doing it genuinely, or you're certain that they're doing it for publicity, or you're not sure. But in either case, they're getting your attention in a massive way.
Yeah.
So they're satisfying their
thing is,
like outcome. They
could be mentally ill, and most probably are. And the thing is, you could not tell what their intention is, but it doesn't matter, because through the internet, it can benefit them, or it can just be distorted into, the message can be distorted, or the reality of what's actually happening in their lives.
Except for, who was that guy who tweeted like about the flat earth, the earth being flat? Like, I don't know if that can be distorted. Like, that is what it is. You know what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was me. I tweeted that.
That's actually why I really enjoy, and it's another element to the podcasting, it's why I really like long form conversational style podcasts, because like, not that I want to put people in situations where they can't hide, but from an audience's perspective, and from me and Lockie talking to people, and any podcaster doing a similar style, like when you talk to a person like a guest, you're getting a very genuine experience of that person. You're really understanding who they are and what they're about. Whereas I think in more traditional modes of media, like, it can be distorted a hell of a lot more. Like,
exactly.
When we put an episode out, there was only like one instance where we cut a segment out because one of the guests asked for it to be removed. But what you see when you're watching the podcast, or what you hear when you're listening to it, is exactly what you get. And like, I like that genuine, raw interaction with the audience and the person.
What was the segment? I don't actually remember.
Oh, it was.
Is there any code words or anything?
I'll have to tell you afterwards.
Tell me after. Juicy off-pod conversation.
Off-pod convo.
And I think that's what's a little bit intimidating for some people, especially coming from like mediums such as acting or print, or even Instagram, photography, blogging. Like, you know, you can't hide behind an image. You know, you're talking, you're expressing your thoughts and feelings. Like, that could be pretty scary, but I don't know, this is pretty chill, and it's not as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's not at all, especially when you get these on.
Yeah.
And I think this has made me more sure of myself just in general life, and made me not give absolutely no fuck about being exactly who I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm on camera so often.
Exactly, yeah. You just can't care.
Being me.
I feel like this is almost like therapeutic. Everyone should do a podcast. Like every blogger, every influencer, like everyone, so you get to know a little bit of the real person behind the image.
Yeah, when we have a long break, I think we start sort of chewing our gums off a bit, sort of.
Yeah.
Things start to swell a bit at the top.
Yeah, it's just saying over and over.
Yeah.
It is late.
This is truly you, though.
Yeah, it is.
That's all that matters. No matter what you say on here, it's fine, because that's you. That's why I look at it.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And I think
edit this out, actually.
You don't get to interact. It's very rare that you get to interact with people in this kind of way, like where you sit down and talk without distraction for like a long period of time with someone. And I thrive actually, like I can't do small talk. Like when I go to a party and someone wants to, I just can't. I need to get to the real. I need to get through all the bullshit with a person and actually have like a genuine, deep conversation. So you can always find me in the corner, like picking someone's brain about some of their deepest insecurities, or they're going through mine. And it's like, that's the kind of human interaction that I enjoy. Anything less than that, I just get socially anxious and I just don't like it.
Yeah, the question, so what do you do?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that. It's like, my identity isn't based off of what I do for money.
Especially
do you have that question as well?
Yeah, a lot. And I hate it, especially as a creative person and coming back to Perth and like with my mum's, you know, white collar workers, like who are asking me like when I'm going to get a proper job and stuff. And I just hate it. I just sort of shrug it off and I don't want to answer. But that's sort of how you can tell the people that you do deal with, the people who you can wade through the small talk bullshit with and just get straight like to conspiracies and stuff like that, the fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it feels very uncomfortable when they're basically straight up saying, so how do you earn money? How do you pay for food?
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
It's invasive, yeah?
It is. And I'm like, it must be hard for you because you're like, how do I explain my creative process? Because there's so much context to it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, how do I explain like the trajectory of why I'm studying what I'm studying?
Yeah.
Or like what this is, what this podcast is? Or I have to say, most of my money is Centrelink or something at some point, you know, when that sort of comes around, when you have to get Centrelink payments or something like that. It's like, then you start avoiding conversations with people that you aren't super, super close with, that you know won't ask those questions because they talk to you almost every day.
But the thing is, like, no one should have to explain what they do or why they do it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no one, like, you don't need to give anyone an answer to that question.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I do sometimes. I'm like, we don't have to talk about that. Just straight up say, we don't have to talk about that. Because I won't ask them. I never ask people that question because mostly I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because most people just, I don't know, work in an office.
Yeah.
So
that's why I love Melbourne as well. Like I used to live in Brunswick, and that's sort of a hub for artistic nomads who are doing a bit of everything, and they can understand that. You don't even have to ask what they do. Like, everyone's either a musician or an artist or a filmmaker or an actor, and
That's why I like going to raves, because people don't ask those questions.
Yeah.
They ask very different questions.
What kind of questions?
Oh, do you have any? No.
Oh, yeah. That's a common one.
Oh, man.
Can I borrow some of that water?
Yeah.
Got any gum?
Yeah.
Those kind of ones. Peeling back the layers a little bit now. I'm just ballparking this one, but I guess maybe when you graduated high school, is that when you sort of started off on this trajectory? And like, what was your, like, at some point, I guess, if you think back, there was a period where you were sort of with the masses or with the crowd, maybe when you graduated, but at some stage, through influences in your own mind and externally, you took off on a different trajectory. Like, where was that moment, and what inspired you to do it, and how did it look like initially?
So where do I start? So after school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I was heavily influenced by my family to go into law. And so I started that. I knew it wasn't for me. I'm just, like, as I was saying to you, all my friends know me for changing my mind a lot. And I was doing a bit of psychology. Then I finally finished a commerce degree. And I've always been traveling throughout my life with my family, being from another country initially. So I really wanted to see more of the world. And so I booked a Euro trip. I went to Vietnam. I went to Japan right after finishing uni. I loved it, and I wanted to share that with the world. And that's when I decided, actually, I remember this moment pretty well. I was telling my friend right before we handed in our last assignment, that I'm going to be a travel blogger. This was right before I went to Europe. So I bought like a GoPro, I bought a camera, and I went on that trip. I made a really cool video. Well, I thought it was really cool at the time. And yeah, it started from there. I started taking photos and doing that. But the real problem was when I was back home, and I was like, well, what do I take photos of now? What content do I produce? I just want to do travel, but I couldn't travel all year round. And the other reason for me going on this journey was because I wanted that digital nomad lifestyle. I heard about like people living in Bali and working from their laptop and not having an assigned location to do their work. I loved the idea of that, and I still really love that. So that's sort of where the journey took off. And from there, I couldn't travel all the time because money. And so I started doing lots of like fashion stuff and getting more into photography and broadening my horizons.
It's funny how often the journey to start doing the thing you like doing begins just after you stop doing the thing that you don't like doing.
Yeah.
So often people like, point. Yeah. I think we've had a couple of people in here that like studied law, and then after they realised they didn't want to do it, they did what they wanted to do.
It messes you up.
Yeah, it kind of takes that sometimes.
Yeah.
Like going through a few years or like a year or two of just experiencing just life in general, the ups and downs, and coming out of that and realising what you really enjoy.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's sort of like chips away at you a bit, and then you reveal sort of the nice Kinder Surprise on the inside.
I remember
That's good.
That's it. That's a good analogy, actually. I remember when I was in Melbourne, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try give this full-time job thing a go. And I got a full-time job and I did it for a few months. But I remember thinking, how weird, like it's a Friday afternoon, everyone's done with their work, but they're sort of trying to look busy like until 5 o'clock, even though everyone's done with their work and it's not efficient or productive in any way. And I'm like, wow, like people just pretend, they go, they sit there, they do what they need to do and they look busy. And I'm just thinking how productive if they got all of that work done in 3 days, if they just focused, and that would be motivation for them as well. But full-time jobs and society, like it doesn't work like that. And I was like, no, it's not for me.
Yeah. Tim Ferriss describes that exact scenario in his book, The 4 Hour Work Week. It comes up with some really interesting solutions. And I think that book is could be massive for a lot of people that are in that sort of cycle. And I think talking about that, like the biggest appeal of actually breaking out of that and doing something for yourself is like how much more effective you are with your time. Like you're doing things that are actually generating direct value for yourself. Whereas if you're sort of in that kind of situation, punching keys and trying to look busy, it's like, I mean, you've got to respect yourself enough to know that you're putting your time, you're wasting your time and you're not generating value for yourself. Like it's at that level, you know.
Just sort of piddling towards the finish line for the sake of being at the finish line.
And I mean, I know so many people who are happy in full-time jobs. They just love it. They love what they do. They love their profession, and that's good for them. But if you don't love that, well, you could do something else. You could generate an income not based on the hours that you're working, but based on, you know, sales, based on the relationships that you're building. And if it's not for you, I think you should sort of stay there and work on something else on the side until that becomes your income and you're profiting from your passion. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest like restricting factors, or two rather, is like people have such a difficult time accepting like their sunk costs. Like if you've been in a job for 3 years and maybe you got promoted in that time, you've hated it all the way along. But because you've been promoted and you've spent all that time there, it's like weighs you down and makes you think that I couldn't get out now. I'm so far in. Like,
and that's how they get you. Yeah. That's the way society's structured. Like giving you that little bit of a bonus, that little incentive to keep doing that.
And then obviously like just like logistically, like getting yourself out of that situation and into a situation that's right for you is a real leap of faith, because it requires you to potentially jeopardize your job security and financial situation. But I think it's absolutely worth it. And to be honest, one of the biggest things that I look at that motivates me a lot when I'm sort of working on the podcast and other things that I've got going on outside of work and uni is like, I see work as a little bit like the enemy, in a sense that they take this is like borrowed words, but they take the best hours of your day, and then if you want to ever do something for yourself, you sort of got to operate in that when you're tired, you come home and you want to sit down and watch TV or have a beer or whatever you do. But that's when you need to like hit the gas and start building something for yourself.
Exactly, especially when you're young and don't have commitments like a mortgage or children. I feel like as you get older, you might wish that you gave it a go and actually tried and saw what happened. I meet so many people and I tell them what I'm doing, like I'm doing photography and like blogging and a bit of acting and stuff like that. And they're like, oh man, I always wanted to give acting a go, or I always had a passion for this. And like, it's such a common story. And I just think, oh, you should have given it a go. They sound really sad and remorseful.
How much thinking do you sort of put into this kind of, because it seems like you've sort of like carved out a real understanding of an acknowledgement of like what is important for you and what a life well spent means to you and stuff like that. And so when you sort of went off on this Euro trip and you decided you were going to do the travel blogging, like, was there any hesitation, or was it like an absolute no-brainer for you to just like, I'm not going down this sort of, like I said to you before, like sort of the road, more travel, the well-trodden pathway, and you were just like, I'm going off and doing something interesting?
I think the hesitation was mainly from family and society pressures, like, you know, your family saying, well, are you going to study? Are you going to do a master's? Or are you going to get a full-time job from this? Like, use your degree. And also seeing your friends who you went to uni with go on to get full-time jobs and start careers in that field, and you feel like, am I wasting my time here? Am I going to be super behind? But that's just a construct, because, you know, then I thought I could just go on and start this career, but something could happen and my career could be redundant because of technological changes, which happens to a lot of people. And you have to start again in a new career, you know, like it's, once I had that realization, it was really liberating, because I thought you may as well do whatever the fuck you want, because, you know, you don't know if you would be redundant. You don't know if you would have an injury or a loss or health issues. So you may as well do what you want to do, especially when you're young. I think also a lot of people who start posting content like that get a bit scared of their peers and what people are going to say. I know a lot of my friends thought it was a bit wanky to do hashtags and stuff like that, but I thought, why? Like, if you're going to be seen by a lot of people who are interested in that content, why not? Like, what's the shame in that? So I think it was amazing character building for me to go into that sector, because the more I did it, the less I cared about what people thought.
Yeah,
putting yourself out there with hashtags.
Yeah,
strangers can see
that's
it.
the thing. That's the part where you're like, I have no shame. I'm going to do these hashtags and I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, I'm going to see like what some dude in Brazil thinks of my post or something.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? I've actually met people, like friends, some people I've never met, but we follow each other for years now, from Paris or Brazil, and it's just insane, you know, like what if I wanted to travel to Paris or Brazil and like stay with them? That happens. That's happened to my friends, and yeah, you can meet people from all around the world, and it's cool as.
Yeah, I know people who have like close friends that they've never met, they've like met once. Yeah. And it's all through Steam, their Steam account, or like Discord or something, all through video games, you know.
I was like, what's Steam? Is it like Twitch?
I know that's just the platform for PC games online.
I wouldn't know. I would have no idea. My brother would know, but
I don't have a PC. And I have 40 followers.
Yeah, you just have to point that out.
I don't have anything. Actually, I think I just sold like my second last asset.
Oh, really?
Minimalist.
I think I just have a TV now.
Ooh, minimal.
Yeah, that's actually trending right now. People are like, you know, I might give minimalism a go because it's really trending. Like, there are all these Instagram, social media movements that happen, like veganism, minimalism, and some people do it just to go along with the fad, and it's crazy.
I did it. partly for money because PS4 you get a lot of money for it, but also to relieve anxiety because I feel like with less things I feel freer.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm carrying them around with me.
Yeah,
or in my head,
exactly.
but when I get rid of them completely, it's like, oh, it doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Like when you have nothing, you have everything.
So inspiring.
That's terrible.
I would say.
Do you agree?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's exactly the rationale that I have for why I just keep very few belongings.
Yeah, you don't. I've never seen you, but you've talked about how you have nothing in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have like fuck all. And since I moved out of home at 19, so it's 5-6 years ago, I'd never really lived in a room bigger than like, I don't know, 3 by 2 meters or something like that. Like at nothing, you know. I always wanted the cheapest room in any of the house shares and stuff like that. It's actually only recently that I've moved into a bigger room, but that was a factor as well in just keeping minimal things. And I just like being like ready to go, like, which is kind of weird because it makes me sound like I'm in some kind of state of paranoia or like extreme anxiety.
Gets out of bed straight away.
I've always liked, it's probably because I've have had a history. Oh, my parents probably hate me for saying this, but it's all water under the bridge now. But I've had a history of being kicked out of home quite frequently. So I attached to the idea of being able to put a bag on my back and just go anywhere at any point. And I just kind of never really let go of that.
I think that's pretty good. Like that's a good mentality.
Yeah, probably it's a good mentality, maybe for the wrong reasons, but
but you know. I remember when I moved to Melbourne, I had my car here for a good couple of years, like a year and a half. I just had it here. I mean, when I occasionally came to Perth, I just drove it around sometime, but I was paying rego and everything, and it was my first car, and it was, you know, like that attachment you have to your first car, and I just sold it, and the money's gone now from that car, but, you know, probably spent it traveling. But, you know, it felt really good to get rid of that, especially something that wasn't really serving me a greater purpose. And
you don't really need it in Melbourne, I guess, do you? You don't need cars or anything.
Not really.
That's my perception of Melbourne.
I don't know how you would survive without a car here. I just don't comprehend.
Even the airport, like you go to the airport, like you're stuck if you're not willing to take a car.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah. Like people have to pay huge taxi fares.
Have they built that rail to the airport yet? No.
Still going.
Still going.
Yeah. They're building one?
We're going for a good 20 years.
Yeah, it's a Forestfield like airport link.
From what? So it starts in Forestfield? What?
Yeah, it's like Forestfield and like sort of through Qdale, I think, and like around Grays.
Oh, so around the back.
Yeah, around the back.
Around the back.
Sponsored by Transperth.
Sponsored, yeah.
Actually, like last time I was here, I was in a Transperth ad.
Oh, cool.
Fun bags, so keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Where
Sweet.
would it be? Just like on the
I have no
bus
idea. I
or-
actually was scared to ask. I was like, I'm just going to take the money and I don't know. I don't want to see it.
Okay, you went
There's
to...
probably graffiti and stuff on it.
Was it a still?
happens in
Oh,
Perth.
no, it wasn't
like
a still. They took some stills, but it was like a proper commercial. So maybe...
Oh, commercial, right. I thought you meant just like a...
No, like TVC, maybe ads online or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Easter egg.
I don't even know where the hell...
a real life Easter egg.
Yeah. Where do you even see Transperth adverts? And
On the Transperth YouTube channel. You don't follow it?
No, I don't.
Instagram.
Do
too.
they have an Instagram?
Probably. Just taking pictures of buses and stuff.
Wow.
That's the thing.
Nice
Anyone
buses.
can be on Instagram, bringing the topic back. But like even Transperth, you know, and you're like, who follows you? Like, like, you know what I mean? Like if you catch the buses and trains, do you follow them on Instagram? Do you want to see that? I don't want, no offense, Transperth, but
some people do.
Tell me, like,
Stuff like that. Some people will just like be like, oh, I like this thing, and then they'll follow them.
Yeah.
Nerds. But
Nerds.
Yeah.
Someone actually made T-shirts. I think it was T-shirts, some kind of clothing material.
Yep.
Out of the Transperth seat like design, cover design.
I saw that.
And I was
it was
like,
trending.
get me one. Yeah.
They're kind of iconic, aren't they? I think you guys got the Melbourne like some of the Melbourne buses, because I see that pattern in like some really old Melbourne trains and stuff. So I don't know. Because, you know, Perth had trams and stuff before. They knocked everything down. Like it was a mini Melbourne, and now it's like very cosmopolitan and modern.
Yeah, it was. Where was it? Just in the city? I think Freo maybe had some. But then the automotive industry took over.
I know.
Paved over the roads. I was reading about that row 8 thing. That's why I read about that. Like, just payrolled it, and then just built roads, completely changed the infrastructure of the city.
Sad.
Now, as you said, it's hard to get around without a car. Like, it's entirely based off cars.
And I mean, in Melbourne, they've got. Do you have Uber Pool now here in Perth?
No, I haven't heard anyone using it, so probably not.
Yeah, so in Melbourne,
we're so backwards, man.
In Melbourne, nowadays trams are so last year. Okay, everyone does Uber Pool. So especially in Brunswick, all the young people they order an Uber Pool. If you're going to the city, one way in a tram is $4.80. It's like $4 in an Uber Pool. You each share the ride, and you drop people off and away, and you pay like $4 each, or it varies. And then I was like, wow, this is cool. Perth doesn't have this. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then I went to LA and they had like Uber Pool Express, which is like the next level up. And Melbourne doesn't have that. And it's like you have to walk quite a bit, and then you get in the car and then they drop you off, and it's a bit of a walk to your location. So it's just, and that's even cheaper. So it's insane.
It's like going into the future.
Yeah. One of the things that I think, one of the more toxic things that a car-based city produces is a lot of drive-through fast food places.
I thought you were going to say carbon emissions, but
that too, but also chips.
Yeah.
And like just petrol stations scattered everywhere. Like on Great Eastern Highway, there's like one, and you can see one just down the road, and there's another one across the road, and you can see another Macca's from a Macca's, and you can see the HJs across the road. And that's all because of obviously cars, like drive-throughs and all the petrol that's required.
I've only seen one McDonald's in Melbourne. They just don't exist. Well, they're in the suburbs, but you just don't see them. You don't see Red Rooster. I don't know. I guess there are so many trams and cafes around that there's not as much of a need for that.
We just got a new Red Rooster in Northbridge on James Street, which is slightly backwards. Like it replaced replaced Zembreras or something. No, not Zembreras, one of the other places. Yeah.
Nando's or Chicken Treat, man.
Yeah.
Chicken Treat's fucked.
How's that?
So they're kind of interchangeable. They're the same thing.
2019 or 2018, you get a Red Rooster in your main party street.
I mean, it's profitable. It's probably smart for the business to do that. Once. Lots of drunk people going past. It's kind of like the new kebab place.
But it's gross. Yeah. It's gross.
I don't eat chicken, so.
I think I could really fuck with Melbourne, to be honest.
Yeah. Have I convinced you to move there? The Uber Pools? Was it the Uber Pools?
No. I think the tipping point for me was when you said there's barely any fast food and it's just cafe. Because I'm such a cafe whore. I'm just all around that shit. Like, I'll go and do writing or like research or whatever in a cafe. I'm just and I'm addicted to coffee. So, no, that's probably a bit of a far stretch, but I like my coffee.
I think my bias is a bit too strong at this point still. I still wouldn't do it. I've talked a lot of shit about Victoria at this point, so probably gotta give it a bit of breathing space.
I was saying before when we were in the car that when I'm in Perth, I'm like, Melbourne's great. Like, there's so many opportunities. The coffee's really good. But when I'm in Melbourne, people haven't been here, and it pisses me off to no end when they just bag on Perth and Western Australia. And I'm like, do you know how beautiful it is? Like, have you seen our beaches? I don't know. I can't, they're so much better than the Melbourne beaches. And I'm kind of like an ambassador for Perth when I'm there. Probably
because they don't go to the beaches.
A lot of people do over there. I don't know why. I haven't been swimming once when I was in Melbourne.
What's like a popular Melbourne beach? Because I just need to visualize what their beaches look like?
St Kilda Beach or Elwood, but the thing is
cold.
that gets me, it's the sand. The sand is like brown and the grains are so large. But also there was, this was in the papers like recently, some guy went after his footy game, he went for a midnight swim, and these invisible like shrimp or some sort of sea creature started eating his flesh of his feet.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that sort of thing.
And you can't feel them when they're doing it. He only noticed when he came out and his flesh was eaten off. So I don't go there. I know we have sharks, but I don't know.
It's more obvious when they eat your flesh.
Yeah, exactly. But also, this is the thing that is so messed up. When I was living in Perth, I was so used to just being able to go to the beach because there's a coast anywhere in Perth. It's the way it's structured. And I used to live south, so I used to go to St Kilda Beach just for walks and stuff. But now I live north of Melbourne and you've got to drive 45, 50 minutes to go to the beach. Are you distracted by the fly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. That's what I miss about Perth, the beaches. And Dome. I couldn't believe they didn't have Dome. It's a Western Australian thing. Yeah.
Jesus.
I didn't know that.
Dome, I'm like, this is so cheap. Like, you can get an almond latte for like $4.20.
Yep.
Oh, I'm doing like free advertising for that. I should pay. But in Melbourne, an almond, like a small almond coffee is like $6. And then you order it and they tell you the price and you can't be stingy. Like your pride, like you can't just say, oh, actually don't worry about it. You have to go through with it and pay for your coffee and walk away like having a shitty day because you just overpaid for your coffee and it's tiny.
You spent a meal on a coffee.
And then my friends would be like, oh, the coffee right next door is like $2 cheaper, and you would cry.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So no fluffy koalas in Melbourne.
No
chai lattes.
Breaks my damn heart.
No, what else do they do?
They do good brekkies and they're quite reasonable. I used to like eat breakfast here and brunch more often than I do in Melbourne, like the foodie capital of Australia.
Yeah, right.
Because it's so expensive.
Have you ever eaten the lasagna from Dome?
I didn't even know that
What
was
is
a
that
thing.
face? You look like you're not a big fan, or are you?
No, it's just my inquisitive face. Just
It sounded strange to hear.
Yeah.
Because I have it on the menu, but I'm like, who the fuck would order a giant sloppy lasagna from Dome
Doesn't feel right. It just feels off, Dome lasagna.
for breakfast?
Yeah.
It's all right, man.
So you haven't done that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I might do it now just for the adrenaline rush.
Yeah. You could blog about it, like my experience.
Yeah.
Like how were you talking about before, like making documentaries and putting yourself right in the situation?
Yeah.
Get a lasagna from Dome. No one's done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
It'd
be
be the
pretty cool.
first.
That's true. True. You get the weird option from the menu.
Yeah.
Like
That's a good series, actually.
buy the crab sticks from a fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
Alaska did that though, buying
I love
a
crab
Whopper
sticks. They're my
from every-
favourite thing from the fish and chip
I
shop.
thought you were going to say I love Alaska for a second then.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, the crab sticks though. Yeah, they're good.
They're actually
What is it?
seafood sausages. Like they're not
Seafood
actually.
sausages.
They're the scraps of like fish, crabs, whatever.
Oh,
you know.
jeez.
and-
I can't
yeah.
even eat like the
I'm a
main part of
pescatarian,
fish.
so
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's unsustainable, but I'm trying to wean myself off it. But I don't know.
Pescatarian. What religion is that?
It does sound like one, doesn't it? Like Presbyterian or
Yeah.
yeah.
How did you get on that train? Like the pescatarian.
This is embarrassing. I had a few like vegan friends who were quite active on Instagram. Like I was saying before, it was really big for a while. And yeah, I tried it and I really liked it. But for health reasons, I had to like go back to eating seafood. You can do a very healthy vegan diet, but I didn't have the lifestyle or the know-how to do it. No, if someone would help me, like write up a meal plan and a grocery list, I would do it. But really, like I hardly ever eat it. If we go to a fancy restaurant and I don't want to get a salad, I'll get a fish. But other than that, I just eat plant-based. I don't know. I didn't want to go into my diet. It's so controversial.
That's alright. So you just needed more omega-3s or something.
Yeah, I was like, well, I said I love crab sticks and there's no going back from that. So I need to talk about that.
Yeah, that's crab sticks.
Controversial.
I just try not to eat my food from that's served in like a giant piece of paper or something.
Yeah, I don't have fried food anymore. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm on a health kick right now. I just don't like it.
I know exactly what it is, and it's a good idea to avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you feel great.
No, I used to not really know what I was doing with food, and then so I snapped out of that vicious cycle. Now I can't believe that it's such a casual thing to just
stuff your body with crap.
Yeah, particularly when I see, no judgment to anybody that's listening at all, but whenever I see someone drinking a full strength soda,
mate,
like a full sugar, full strength, like it's a beer. I see it, I'm like, it to me, it's basically just like they're fucking sipping like vodka or something. It's like, what are you doing? Just like in the middle of the day, just smashing back a Coke. It's so intense.
Yeah.
It's such an intense move.
Very brave.
Yeah.
While I'm just railing off caffeine.
Yeah.
So,
Hypocrite.
Yeah.
This is such a weird thing to say, but every time, but not frequently, I get Hungry Jacks or something, I don't drink the soft drink.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with that.
That's why I said no judgment. You know,
So when I was in LA, it's really healthy and everything. I went to this place called In-N-Out, which everyone posts pictures of when they go there. Yeah, and it's quite healthy, right? But in America, their lemonades are usually still, like, they're not sparkling, and this place makes it fresh, like with fresh lemons. I think maybe a little bit of sugar, but usually, like, a lot of their lemonade is just still
like
lemon
cordial
juice. It's lemon juice.
Right.
They have like sparkling varieties, but I was like, what is this? This is lemon juice, but it's a lemonade.
Yeah, what do you think about the burgers and stuff?
I really liked it. Now they're actually doing that thing, which is mock meat, and it tastes exactly like meat.
The Impossible Burger?
Yeah.
That's what it's called?
Tried that, and it reminded me too much of meat.
Yeah.
So I didn't enjoy it. I was like, this is weird. Is this meat? But yeah, I guess like anyone, if they crave meat and want the protein, that's an option. So
Crave flesh.
yeah, it's kind of that's kind of scary
Might
to
have
think
some
about.
flesh later on.
I've got some in the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
I
flesh
need
in
to
the
eat it
fridge.
before it goes off.
Yeah.
In-N-Out's it shook me when I first had it. I was like, this is not like normal fast food. Like the fries are like, taste like you just cook some potatoes in the oven.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's I love the old school vibe of it.
Yeah, bring it to Australia. Like, they're apparently bringing Whole Foods to Australia.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Just another option.
Happening. Yeah.
It's like going to Woolies and trying to figure something out.
But that's the thing. I thought in America they have all the candy, candy everywhere. But when you go to the supermarket, they have Cadbury and they have a couple of variations of chocolate, and then that's it. We have more options in Australia. Like, you wouldn't think that, but
Really?
it's really strange. Yeah, there's no like chocolate options in a supermarket.
In America?
Yeah, in LA. It could be in LA. It could be the neighborhood I was staying in as well.
What was the neighborhood?
Yeah. It was kind of between Beverly Hills and West Hollywood, which is kind of a good area, so that could be why. But
Yeah, they don't want any of those calories.
no,
Any of that sugar.
they're very health conscious.
Yeah, you want to look good going between Beverly Hills and West Hollywood, Hollywood and back. Or walking up and down West Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to make some jokes, but
Do it.
too often because I can I can go dark.
You have to restrain yourself.
Yeah, I shouldn't, because I should just kind of say it and then just stick myself out
whenever
a hole.
you do say a dark joke, you always preface it with saying, oh, this is really fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of ruins it. I just need to be more...
Yeah, just be more powerful.
Just say shit.
Have you guys ever said something that on this podcast that you regret, like all the time for you, or one particular incident?
Actually, maybe not on the podcast. In real life.
Okay.
But
well, that happens on a daily basis.
Yeah. No, I don't think I've ever regretted anything I've ever said on here. Yeah. What about you?
No, not in a big way. Nothing that really stands out, but it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
it's inevitable.
gonna happen.
I wonder what has to be a pretty offensive thing if I regret it.
Yeah, or something a bit stupid, something looking back, you're like, that was a really dumb thing to say. Or something offensive, or you just weren't thinking. That's like my fear, saying something and then being like, I really put my foot in my mouth.
Maybe if I listened back to the one with Barry Marshall, the Nobel Prize winner, maybe I said something stupid in there. I would really regret it, because that's probably the worst one. You say something stupid to a Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah, like, oh.
Because I also, like, I really want to have high standards for that sort of thing. Like, I really want to impress the guest with my knowledge of the topic, especially the science-based ones, because they're always impressed. They're like, oh, wow, you did research.
So, I mean, when you're talking to someone who's from that niche and so knowledgeable in it, do you feel kind of your lack of knowledge is accentuated, and is there a pressure to say the right things, or?
Usually you do enough research to be confident that you can cover all the bases, and also the guests generally are pretty good at like coming down a level. They're not super technical.
Yeah. I feel like you're my guest right now, and I'm like asking you questions.
I was thinking that before, and I was like, great. No one usually has enough confidence to like turn it back. Yeah,
no, I'm too chatty.
It's critical, I reckon, though, to get that conversational vibe. Like, we do as much as we can on our side, but if the guest comes in and starts throwing some questions back at us, it's like it just blows the doors open. Like, the way we normally do it is we sort of like kind of inadvertently we'll start with questions of the guest, and then we'll start teasing out statements where we won't ask the guest anything specific, but we'll just say something about ourselves, like we're kind of teasing a bit of a conversation back and forth. And I mean, it's just natural with you, so it's been really good.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and also when people get on rants, they always say, oh, I'm sorry, I started talking too much. And we're like, no, that's exactly what we want.
Like, and now I'll probably listen back and I'll be like, I didn't answer any of the questions. It's so hard, like, to keep on track.
No, I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
I think you did.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
I'll think of some. Don't worry.
Now it doesn't quite work if I ask the questions.
No. It's too much pressure.
Yeah, but are you confident? Have you been confident going into the science ones?
Yeah, because I kind of alter the way that I question them, or when I state facts, and to try and sort of as like a lead-in statement before a question, I kind of change the way that I phrase things to kind of give myself a safety net. So I use terms like, oh, I'm probably going to butcher this, or I could be wrong, or isn't it, didn't you do this or that, or correct me, different statements that kind of offer a safety net and make you more confident about what you're about to say.
Yeah.
So that's good. But also, just being well researched, and I don't know.
I think one technique is also do a lot of research, and then instead of just bringing up that research you have, either with a really super technical question or just a chunk of paragraph or rant, you sort of have a more vague leading question that is going to lead to the thing you researched, and then you have a good wealth of knowledge to bounce off of them once they've started answering the question.
That's a lot of pressure. Like, you have to remember all this, and like you've got to stay on track. And
it's not like, it's kind of intuitive now. Like, we used to write things down, but now it's kind of, you just kind of integrate that into a head. That's the sort of framework for how you go into a science heavy podcast. It's just about not dragging yourself into like super technical speak.
Well, I think also like something that is always in the back of my mind with these things, when you're making statements and doing interviews, you're always thinking like, am I going to say something that's going to trigger someone? Which I feel like happens a lot these days, a lot more often with social media. Do you feel that ever, when you say something, you're like, some people are going to get triggered or find this offensive?
Yes. Maybe earlier on I would think about that, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't bring this topic up because I don't know too much about it and I might misspeak, and some people might get a bit annoyed at that. No repercussions so far. But we've had guests that have had sort of requests to not bring up certain topics or address them in a certain way.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
That's the biggest.
Without saying who they are.
Yeah. That is nerve-wracking to me because it's like, respectfully, when someone tells me not to do something, like I was just, it's not a rebellious thing, but I was just so worried when we had been asked in the past not to bring up certain things. I was like, now it's in my head. It's been put in my head now. So I just feel like I'm going to accidentally say it. So that's what I was mostly nervous about. But yeah, I don't really ever get nervous before talking to someone when it's science-based. I think also because of the way we've set up the podcast, like as the layman's podcast, it's kind of, we always said that was a bit of a safety net for us to kind of be like, layman on topics. So we always had that safety net of like, we're trying to like filter the scientific person's understanding into something understandable. So if we like look like idiots, it's like kind of, we can sort of be
it's
like,
implied,
well,
to the everyday man, so that like a woman, see, so that they can understand.
Yeah, and with the social issue, you sometimes just putting forward a caveat or prefacing by saying, hey, I don't really know about this, I haven't looked into it.
Yeah.
So if someone could like correct me if I'm wrong, or if something's particularly could go down a sort of a controversial
kind of saving
way.
yourself.
Yeah,
like,
sort of pulling back a bit and being like,
don't mind me, I'm ignorant.
Yeah, sort of trailing my sentence of saying anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, sort of thing, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I'm a bit conscious of it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not about swearing though. You can swear.
Okay, cool.
yeah,
You can frickin' cuss.
I love how you could swear as much as you want. Frick. And that's like
Frick.
yeah.
Mashed potatoes.
No, I'd love to get over to Melbourne. A big thing about, I really want to try and sort of get like a mobile recorder and be able to go and do some trips and like get over to Melbourne or Sydney or various other places, or even internationally, just to do some sort of podcasts on the road.
Use the camera? Would you use the camera?
Yeah, I'd take the cameras as well. But like, I want to do quite a lot of travel next year as well, like a real big, because I haven't done any travel since high school really, for various reasons, and not as much as I would have liked anyway. So once I graduate and sort of get settled in, I want to do some big travel and then try and sort of tie in a lot of the podcasting stuff and see if I can go and do, like, I've got a sort of running idea now to do some podcasting through America and kind of, I won't say anything now because I don't want anyone to steal the idea, but
yeah, I'm like that too.
yeah. I've talked to you about it before, I think.
Really?
You and Brandon. Yeah.
Another off pod.
Yeah, off pod.
Cool. It's juicy. But I already forgot the first one.
I want to hear more about that later, but I'm not going to steal it.
Okay. But I wanted to, so you've got so much going on, but like, how do you want to where do you want to see yourself in like 5 years, I think? Is one or two things that you're doing now going to take over a bit more? Or do you think you're going to be still as well spread out in 5 years, or what's the plan?
I like being all over the shop, to be honest. I like having a lot of different projects that I'm doing. I couldn't just do one thing.
Yeah.
And so I think I've got quite a definitive plan of what I want to do. I want to write maybe 1 or 2 scripts a year and produce them, make them come into fruition. And I am currently working on a brand which will integrate social media quite heavily. It'll be an e-commerce store, and the product is quite unique, which I'm really, really excited to launch. So I guess with keeping acting as a bit of a hobby, writing on a more serious scale, and I feel like hopefully this brand and this e-commerce business will keep me pretty busy. But mainly lots of travel, because I've tried to realise what my number one passion was, like if I had to choose one thing, and it would definitely be travel. Everything I've been doing was so that I could do more of that and not be tied down to one place, because I hate feeling tied down with anything. So anything that I'm doing, I want to have options.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's very exciting.
That's well thought out.
Yeah, I guess I think a lot, so too much.
Yeah, don't we all?
That's an interesting kind of segue, I guess, in terms of like, how do you, when you're doing so much at once and thinking about so many things, and just now saying that you think a lot, like how do you switch off when it's time to switch off and manage that, like, because that's, I think, one thing I found to be so critical as well, is trying to achieve that.
That's the thing. A lot of people who are in this line of work and doing social media and all of that, they say that there needs to be a moment in your day where you put down your phone and just spend time with family and friends and completely go off the grid and don't even touch social media or scroll through it. And it's pretty hard because you're tempted to check your notifications and stay in a loop and all of that. I always forget to post. I find it difficult to balance not being on social media, and I take it to the extreme and just completely forget to post for days on end. So I think it's just important to have that schedule in place, like maybe even treating it like a 9 to 5 with options, of course, like 5 o'clock, I'm done, you know. If you have an inquiry, like you could deal with that in the morning, just like other people do with their normal jobs. I think setting discipline and just setting boundaries for yourself in terms of that. Otherwise you do go crazy and it'll be 9 o'clock, you'll be in bed and you'll be doing all of that. I just don't think it's healthy. And it's kind of sad in a way because social media was designed to be fun, but for me, I just have to sort of shut off and read a book or do something that I used to love before social media came into the picture.
Yeah, it doesn't always feel fun anymore.
No, it's a lot of pressure now.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like for you, because I know with the podcast, it requires me to engage with social media a lot more than I would be comfortable with. So, you know, in a vacuum, like without the podcast, I'd be like 25% active on social media as I currently am. So but as much as I realize that it is essential to develop this and build it and grow an audience and all those other things, I have to be there on social media, it's a really strange kind of like feeling to like hold on to, is that like, so yeah, I don't know. It's a necessary evil, I think, for me in that sense.
Yeah.
But for you, obviously scale it up a lot more, and it's, yeah.
I think, I mean, you get to post about different people you have on a show all the time. You don't feel as selfish, but I'm like, well, you know, I don't want to just post content of myself. I feel pressure to do Instagram stories. I don't want to do that, you know, like I just don't want to keep putting myself out there. I feel like it's boring, and I lost my passion for it. And now I collaborate a lot with photographers and I do a lot of print and media work in Melbourne. So they kind of make the content for me, which I can repost. And I'm like, that's great. That gives me so much clarity and takes so much pressure off that I don't necessarily need to go out with a camera and do that stuff anymore. So yeah, I feel like when you post pictures of yourself a lot, you get tired and you get sick of yourself. And so I don't know. It is a necessary evil, like what you said. Yeah.
That's why whenever I hear about celebrities or anyone in the public eye that have an assistant that do their social media for them, I totally get that. And I'm like, of course. Yeah. There's so much other shit to do. Like, why would they engage with making a tweet about the movie that came out they were in? Yeah.
I mean, and you could sort of tell sometimes the celebrities that do their own social media. I don't know if you could tell, but
it's a bit looser and a bit
yeah,
not as formal.
Yeah, exactly. It's got less of a structure to it, but yeah, it's a full-time career now. You know, before you did marketing and maybe you posted for the brand twice a day. Now, like, people are looking for social media marketing coordinators just to take care of that, organize collaborations, content creation. It's a lot of work, which is why it's like a 40-hour work week for someone.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, well, the webs of the internet have really grown. The dendrites, you know.
What did we do before then? Like, I don't even remember a world. I remember I only got into this when I was 19 and I didn't really use that. I had Facebook before.
That's a good question.
MySpace before that. Actually, MSN before that. Now that I think about it, like, we've been exposed to it a lot. Habbo Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
RuneScape.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, I was all about Adventure Quest. I was just I fucked with that. But yeah, MSN. Like, so yeah, the more you think about it, the more you realize it was slowly creeping in, and we just sort of just got sucked in. But it's more and more I forget it's like I kind of romanticize a time before the internet, but it's like a fading memory. It's like a very cloudy kind of memory as time
really
goes
sad.
on. Yeah,
it's kind of fiction.
Like I still hold the memories quite close to me, but I remember like living out in Carramar, it's like a developing suburb north of Perth, and going off with all the kids. Like a lot of English people live there. It was very popular 10, 15 years ago. A lot of English people immigrated and moved to the like Joondalup northern suburbs area. I would just get together with all the kids in the neighborhood and we'd just go running off into the bush, because like you'd leave your house, you walk down the street past a few empty like lots that are being pegged out for houses, and then you're basically in the bush, and we were off. And like I romanticize about those days because you were so involved with your environment and the world around you. Like that was your main source of stimulation.
There's going to be fiction novels written about that kind of life and romanticizing that, like Huckleberry Finn or something, but our version of that.
Back in the day, those days will be like ancient, like life before social media. Like, can't believe it. It was so long ago.
All we did was watch TV.
Yeah.
I think
Rave. Oh, was it Rage or was it Rave?
Oh, the
Rage.
ABC music thing?
Yeah.
Rage.
Rage, yeah.
Rage.
Toast, cheesy toast or whatever.
Cheese TV.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z and shit.
Fuck yeah.
I think because I'm a huge fan of I can't even remember the goddamn Stranger Things.
Yeah, me too.
And especially the first season. And I think I had just a realization then that one of the I get such a nostalgic feeling from it when I see the kids like riding down the street. They just like rock up to a house and drop their bikes and like just run inside,
play board games,
and do all that kind of stuff. And I think the reason I get such a nostalgic thing is partly because of the things that they're doing, but also the absence of social media. Like there's like it's all like pick up a phone and call each other, and like there's even instances in the show where they can't reach each other because like someone's not answering their walkie-talkie and stuff. And it's like that paradigm doesn't exist with social media in the picture. Like, so I think that's a huge part of the nostalgic appeal for me with shows like Stranger Things, and there's various other examples as well. But yeah, I feel like we're really beaten on social media, but there's good and bad aspects to it as well. I hope I'm not being like rude or anything, because this is sort of something that you're involved in, and you've obviously cultivated like a social media presence and things. But
I bag it all the time. Like I know like there's so many good things and I do it for a living. It's so helpful to brands as well, but there's just so much negativity and negative aspects about it that I could just go on forever. And yeah, it's like those Stranger Things days, they seem like a fairy tale. And even though we didn't experience like the 80s, there is something very nostalgic about it, and you just want to go back and live in those times.
Yeah, the good old days.
And why are 10-year-olds on Instagram, Why are there 4-year-old influencers?
Oh my God.
Oh really?
Yeah,
like
micro fashion. It's a thing.
Micro fashion.
Yeah, or parents dressing up their kids in different outfits and exploiting
a little
their
pumpkin
children.
patch.
No offense. Yeah, or like one woman.
Pumpkin patch streetwear.
One woman like dressed up her little 3-year-old as a Chanel purse, and she was like dressed up real fancy, and like her little daughter was a Chanel purse. She probably wanted to be a princess or Elsa or something, but no, you're my purse.
Those are princesses now. Kim Kardashian's a princess.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's what happened with that Bahad Bahabi.
Is it Bad Baby? Someone said it's pronounced Bahad. I don't
know. I just be silly and pronounce it Bahad Bahabi.
Well, someone said that's how it's actually pronounced.
Okay.
And I'm like, whoa, you have a career from being mean to your mother?
But her mother like sort of like goaded her along into it. Like,
oh, really?
She set up the whole Dr. Phil thing. Like, brought her to Dr. Phil.
Okay.
I just realised too. I don't know the Bad Baby. Bahad.
I don't know her name, but
Danielle.
Danielle Bregoli or
Catch Me Outside.
Catch Me Outside.
Yeah,
that girl. Yeah.
That's
like,
insane.
she didn't do it on her own. Like her mother sort of pushed her.
She has a rap career, a music career, a makeup line, you know.
She's probably a millionaire by now.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's like technically talented. Like she technically has flow. She raps well, but it's not, it's like, it's still formulaic.
Yeah.
And the shit she's saying is like, she doesn't have guns. She doesn't shoot people. She doesn't
it's
steal
an
drugs.
artistic style.
Yeah, she doesn't have a fucking,
Yeah,
she
how
probably
old
has
is
cars.
she? 14, 15?
16 or something like that.
Singing about drugs and guns.
So I'm impressed that she's come a long way. I'm proud of her.
Yeah.
I'm proud of her.
She's
Good
kind
on
of
you,
navigated
Daniel.
the system a little bit. And
Yeah.
Yeah, but also her music is like just vapid and just it's kind of like along the lines of that saturated trap music that's sort of getting quite annoying now, where it's become a instead of being authentic, it's become a brand.
Yeah, it's very formulaic.
Where something like trap music shouldn't be a brand,
Yeah.
but it is. That's what happens.
That's the way of the world now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
God.
Hip hop itself has become commercialized anyway. That happened decades ago. So
Iggy Azalea.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 I mean, you got to like be proud of the fact she's Australian.
Yeah, good on you, girl.
But yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's kind of like she's delving into that African American rap culture, and she's Australian, and we don't have that, which is quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, she puts on the voice, and it's a bit uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable when white people put on the sort of the southern affect, the southern hip hop affect. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what to think about it.
Is that like James Franco in Spring Breakers?
Yeah, along those lines.
That's what I'm thinking of.
It's based off Riff Raff, yeah.
Yeah.
Because because some people, it's a pretty convoluted topic that, yeah. But some people grow up in those areas no matter what ethnicity they are.
Yeah.
And they'll have that sort of like Action Bronson has that voice and that's how he raps. But people rag on him for sounding like Ghostface Killer, but it's like, well, he lived in the Bronx and shit. But I'm going on a real tangent. But yeah, it's a
Tangent out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big topic, tough topic.
Yeah. How do we get into rap from social media?
Me. That's me.
Is it your passion?
No. I'm pretty into it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can sort of glaze over sometimes and go down a topic. But then I was like, I don't think anyone knows what I'm talking about. I don't
Like,
think anyone knows who Action
that's
Bronson
really
is.
cool. No, I know he is. Didn't he have that like food show?
Yes, he did actually. Yeah, on Munchies. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Munchies.
I think he's got
Good
like
Lord.
several food shows.
Yeah.
And it shows. That's a diss. I hope he doesn't hear
Food
it.
shows.
I hope
doesn't
he's
hear
not
it.
listening.
No, I actually hope he is.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Just like Josh Brolin. Who else is listening? Tom Cruise.
Angus Stone, please.
Julia Stone.
Yes. Okay, so I think you're probably
Just listing off the people that we've insulted.
What?
Yeah.
Oh
Nah.
nah. We
Not
love
strongly.
all these people.
We just mess around, just lightly
What
rag
would
them.
you say about Angus and
I
Julia?
love Angus and
It
Julia
was actually a
Stone.
guest.
What?
It was actually a guest that came on and
Oh,
shouts out Oakley.
Okay, all right.
No, she's a huge fan of Julia.
Oh wait, oh yeah. That's what you're talking about. I just realised that.
I thought you knew. Anyway.
That's the part that had to be cut out. I guess
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
No, just leave it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to hear about
I don't
this
care.
later. I'm really curious now.
We haven't talked about what was said or anything like that. It was all good. And
Yeah.
do you listen to
Oakley, the sunglasses brand. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Do you listen to Dope Lemon at all? It's a
Dope Lemon.
it's a music project by Angus Stone.
No.
Oh, it's the greatest.
It's very good.
What is it?
It's like psychedelic rock.
Oh,
it's,
yeah,
it's
cool.
beautiful. It's just in my opinion, the guitar riffs that you find in psychedelic rock are just some of the finest sounds that you can make with a guitar.
Yeah.
That's it. I'll just put that out there. That goes for Ocean Alley as well. They're obviously pretty big at the moment. They're really flying the flag for psychedelic rock. Tame Impala's in there. Wolf Mother, throwback. Yeah. Wolf Mother are legendary.
Yeah, would you say that Dope Lemon is psychedelic folk?
Yeah.
Or psychedelic soak?
Funkadelic.
Folk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a joy. It's a joy to listen to. I would recommend, I mean, I always cook when I listen to it when I cook. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful album. I think the first album is self-titled and he's about to put out another one as well. So
really?
Yeah. I would kill to get him on the podcast.
Is that a Bill Clinton impression?
Yeah. No, it was terrible.
Yeah, you lost it.
How long do we have you for now? Like, are you?
I don't know.
What are we doing?
More than 30 minutes.
You
Hello.
You got 30 minutes left in the tank, or?
No, I thought I don't know. I have no concept of time.
Oh, you thought it's been 30 minutes?
Well, more than 30 minutes.
Oh, right, okay.
That's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's quite an impressive time vacuum that we got you into. Usually people say, "Oh wow, that passed by so quick."
Yeah, no,
so
it did.
half an hour would be like a record.
Yeah. So how long has it been? Like an hour and a half?
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, an hour and a half.
What's the longest time you've had someone on just chatting?
3 hours, I think.
I've been talking to myself forever, but in terms of the podcast, probably Declan.
Yeah, Declan for about 3 hours.
What does he do?
He's in the it's like 70s punk rock band.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's the lead guitarist.
Yeah, and the only reason we could have done that was VBs, really.
Yeah, we were just
fueled by
VBs. He had a show at the Rosemount, so he came in here beforehand, and great night. We sort of, hung out in the green room, and we watched them sound check up to the green room, just sink a beers with all the bands, and went out to the town and went to the hotel, and it felt a bit rock starry. I couldn't keep up with them. I carked it at the end of the night.
I don't know how they do it. Like, have the shows, then do interviews, podcasts,
and just
appearances.
Drink excessively.
Yeah.
Not every musician,
that's
but
how they do it. Drugs and alcohol. Like they're gonna when coffee doesn't work.
Sounds fun, actually.
Rock stars, man.
I mean, it ended terrible. Like, you felt horrible, and the next morning you were pretty dusty. But do you sort of romanticize that day?
Yeah, I mean, it was for sure. It was a great night. I felt like I'm tagging along with the rock stars here.
Yeah,
it was great. It was fun. And they're signed to the same record label, or to the record label that was established by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Have you heard of those? They're
I can't say
Melbourne. I think they're an 8-piece band. They have like a notorious like level of output. I think they released 1 year. They released 8 albums, and they're up to 12 or 13 albums now.
It does ring a bell.
They've completely built a massive commerce business around this band, and they're touring. They've got an event called Giz Fest, which I think is an annual festival that they put on and source bands and artists for, and their merchandise sales are just killing it, and obviously just churning out albums. And they've it's kind of jarring for me because it feels like they've I respect everything that they do. I'll just preface it by saying that, but it seems like it's very transactional, and they've really commercialized something that should be maybe more pure. But I mean, as long as they can sustain themselves with their business model and keep putting out really great music, then that's fine.
The thing is, musicians don't make as much money now. Remember when we used to go to Sanity or whatever it was and put on headphones and listen and buy CDs and stuff like that? People don't do that as much anymore. I don't even know if a lot of those stores exist now. So a lot of the money is in touring and gigs, but also merch and having what's that thing? Patreon. Yeah, having people support you on there.
Yeah, I don't know how Sanity is still around.
Is it still around?
Yeah, there's one at the Belmont Forum, and there's one in Morley. There's a Blockbuster
in Morley and a Sizzler.
It just closed down, actually.
Yeah, it's closing down. It's so sad.
I'm actually curious if they're selling posters, because I want to just, for old time's sake, get a sweet Blockbuster poster, because we're going to redesign this. I probably mention it every episode, but
it's going to be an artifact, so why not?
Yeah.
Morley's like stepping back to the 80s, hey, like the shopping centre. I love it. I'm like,
yeah,
so retro.
They've got a varsity bar there that's just stacked full of like old arcade games and stuff, apparently. So, yeah, you're right.
Fast Eddie's is a shisha bar now. What?
In Morley? Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Should hit that up, actually.
Yeah. Love a good sheesh.
That was my first job. I was a waitress at Fast Eddie's. And,
there you go.
Now it's a shisha bar.
Cool.
So how do they make the food at Fast Eddie's? They just like leave it out in the sun for a few hours and then give it to you? Like
No, they made me go to the grocery store once to buy like fresh produce. So I know it's good and fresh. But lots of oil is added and yeah.
vegetable
if you
oils.
like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh boy. I've only ever eaten there at like 2 a.m. So
yeah, that's most of the clientele that come in and most of the interesting people that customers.
Clientele. I've got a front desk and everything.
Yeah.
The owner of the Fast Eddie's in the city lives just down the road actually, and he's good friends of my
Is that a shisha
mum
bar
and stepdad. It might be. They might have converted a part of it into a shisha bar.
Wait, when you say they become a shisha bar, it's still Fast Eddie's branded, or is it just like the building's remodeled?
It says Fast Eddie's. It's the same logo, same font, but it's grey and black, like kind of like a noir kind of sexy nightlife vibe. And it says Fast Eddie's Shisha Bar, but the sign and logo is still the same. I really want to go inside,
so
but I'm kind of
weird.
scared. And like, because this is my
Let's go.
old innocent family diner, and what is it now? I don't know. Yeah, let's all go and check it out. We're driving past there.
All right. I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah,
then.
well, if you give me a lift.
Fast Eddie's.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's a great shisha joint bar in Vic Park that I go to frequently. Not too frequently, but it's called Perth Hooker Lounge, and they're killing it. It's great spot.
I've
Sheesh
heard
is
of
such a
that.
great thing. It's just, do you sheesh?
I've sheeshed in
yeah?
the past, like a couple
So
of
social
times,
and-
but yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, like, especially as a non-smoker. You're like, how is this social? But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
Do you get the head spins?
What?
Do you get the head spins?
No, I don't think I
Oh,
did enough
you don't
of
take
it
it
to
in,
get the
yeah.
head spins. But
Yeah.
Yeah. I always chase that head spin.
Yeah, most like
I'm a
green Eastern
degenerate.
shisha, just like
Degenerate.
yeah, all the shisha greenies normally smoke shisha like Elon Musk smokes a joint.
Oh, right, yeah.
No
Get it all
inhale.
out, yeah.
that's me.
That's the way to do it. I don't like the head spins.
It probably is the way to do it. 'cause
Yeah,
you
you're
feel
not
a bit
meant to apparently.
dehydrated.
no.
Yeah.
Just take
I
it
don't know if
into
that's
the.
true.
It's hard not
Into the
to. It's
cheeks.
like old habits die hard.
Not for a non-smoker.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
It is. I wish it was BYO at those shisha places. Because then
Yeah.
it'd be extra social.
Mm.
You know?
Do they sell alcohol there?
No.
No.
They don't. Which you would think they would, but
It must be like
No.
a law or something.
yeah, it's hard to get the license on top of the
Yeah.
shisha license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a shisha board, a shisha accreditation board?
I don't know.
Not sure about the legal framework around it all.
The legal framework.
That even.
We should get a lawyer in then.
But
A
yeah,
shisha
Fast
lawyer.
Eddie's. Gotta check it out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't think I've ever been to a Fast Eddie's. I never supported it. I just
Yeah.
Never supported
not
Eddie.
like voluntarily or anything, but you know,
Is Eddie a real person?
I don't think so.
Oh,
Not like Jim.
That's like finding out Santa isn't real.
It's modelled on like an old, like
Jim's real.
American diner, I guess. That's the concept, but like it doesn't. That
Yeah.
sort of concept, I feel, doesn't really work in Perth.
No, it doesn't. Like, have you been to Denny's?
No, what's that?
Denny's, it's like the quintessential sort of dive diner, 24-hour sort of place in America. Like, it's a huge franchise and it's everywhere.
Is
Sort
it
of-
in LA?
All the whole country.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
been.
It's sort of like, you know, that in the movies you see that. It's like the classic.
Oh yeah, I've heard it
big
mentioned
thing.
and
They
stuff.
pour you free coffees all
Yeah.
the time in the pot, which makes the coffee taste like 10 times as good.
Does it?
Yeah.
which is almost enough to
Well,
offset.
it doesn't, but like in my head, it's
Yeah,
like
psychological.
getting that big pot of coffee, that big white mug.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fast Eddie's isn't quite the same. It's sort of more like a hog's breath.
They do bottomless. They do bottomless coffees, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's sort of American style. Yeah.
One model I think that works really, really well in Perth at the moment is burger joints that do a lot of fried chicken burgers and play like hip hop and shit. That's a big one.
You're talking about
Like Royale Burgers in Vic Park.
What's the one in Leaderville?
We went to.
Yeah.
Exactly, like copy paste, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
You should definitely go to Royale Burgers in.
You don't like chicken, do you? You don't eat chicken.
Do they just have chicken?
No, they got some other stuff as well.
Look at that, I remember that. You know.
Yeah. But it is like it's wildly popular. I don't know what it's interesting.
Yeah,
people dig it, man. They got like pictures of Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole.
They love that New York vibe.
Yeah.
Like, what's that New York pizza? Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah.
New York Slice, New York Daddy. I don't know what
Mac
it's called.
Daddies.
Mac Daddy. Yeah.
They're great.
I haven't been there.
That's a good one too.
What is it? A thing here? Or?
They do like 16-inch pizzas, man. It's and it's like the traditional New York slice where you've
People
got
love
like
it.
the white toppings or whatever, with the white base. I don't know what it is. What do
You
they call
mean
it?
dough?
No.
White base.
No, it's like
you mean
they've
dough, you
got,
fucking idiot?
There's something like characteristic of like New York pizza slices. Oh my god!
Is it some type of cheese?
I think it is. Yeah.
I don't even know
Let me
the
just look
realm,
that up.
like what you're talking about, like in what realm. Yeah, I'm just lost. Do they do those pizza eating challenges? You know, like the giant ones?
I think so.
They should.
The sort of ones that kill people. I want to do one of those.
Have people died from those sort of eating challenges?
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is.
They do 16 and 22-inch pizzas.
Oh my god.
You just like ordering.
Yeah, I just
Start
order
ordering.
takeaway now.
That would not be vegan friendly.
I've never done that on pod, just like
You know, Uber Eats do
Uber Eats.
Coles and like they do
Grocery shopping?
grocery deliveries now.
really.
Yeah, they're
That's
taking
pretty
over.
cool.
Actually, my friend was telling me she had a job as a cook in a ghost kitchen. I've never heard of this before, but ghost kitchens, like you have the menu from the restaurant, but it's all these restaurants, all the food is made in is one big ghost kitchen. And it's like not even the person from the restaurant cooking it. They're cooking it off the menu, but they're cooking it in this big ghost kitchen. Like, that's insane.
A ghost kitchen.
I know. I don't even know if that's like public information, but it's a job. It's her job. So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Uber's going to be doing everything at some point.
Yeah. Uber's the next thing. It's going to be doing everything. Uber's like Facebook.
Yeah, Uber mowing. It's going to take over gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim's got to watch out.
In fact, they stole that sort of idea off of Jim, to have multiple different facets of your company. Jim's mowing, Jim's plumbing, Jim's electrician.
I've only heard of Jim's
And that's fact.
mowing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, dude, they've got like Jim's test and tag, Jim's antennas.
Pest control.
Yeah, I think they've got Jim's pest control. They've got Jim's. Oh, they've got some really obscure ones. It's
Jim,
like, how is there even a market for that? It's too specific.
is that a Western Australian thing?
Yeah, I think it is. Every week I see a new Jim's insert whatever
wow,
band.
he's doing so well.
Yeah, he's actually got a PhD in like history or something as well.
Yeah,
Oh
that was
wow.
fascinating.
I want to
We
get
should
him
have
on
him
the
in a
podcast.
podcast.
Genetic
yes.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got an endless list of people I want to get on this damn podcast, man.
Seriously, so many cool things come out of Perth and so much talent. It's endless.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're about, eh? Like showcasing Perth.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as I was saying to you before, I inevitably, I won't read out the names because I don't want to jump the gun on some of those. There's talks in place. But I do want to, loyal to Perth, but I do want to build this up to outgrow Perth and if we're generating an income at some point, taking trips over east and going for a week and settling down in a hotel room and booking a podcast or 2 a day or as many as I can fit in that time frame, and just get people to come into the hotel room, get the cameras all ready and everything, and just like roll out through podcasts and do that kind of stuff. So that would be not in the near future, but at some stage I'll be doing trips over east and that kind of stuff. So yeah, just squeeze as many podcasts as I can in to make the trip economical. And
you've got it all planned out.
Yeah, it's all rattling around in my head. It's stuff I think about like all night when I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
It's a nervous laugh.
That and like just I've almost sometimes have like the first 10 minutes of most podcasts sort of like planned out in my head just because I like just obsessively thinking about the guest and what I've researched about them and stuff like that. I just have like,
did you research
so much
me? Oh my God.
No, I wanted to go into this one. I think when I hold off on the research, it's because I want to challenge myself, and the context lends itself to be more conversational. So I go in a little bit almost blind, and I think this is an exciting challenge to kind of get the conversation going and then explore different areas, like things I wouldn't expect to come up and stuff like that.
Here's a question. I don't plan much out apart from just the basis, like actual research. Do you plan out what I potentially could say? Like you sort of like go through the AI sort of like an algorithm of like what I could say.
No, I don't go. Yeah, it doesn't extend that far.
So,
but
yeah, I was going to say that's a lot of brain power.
Yeah, I'm an extremely obsessive thinker. It's frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like I've found, especially with my creative projects, the best outcomes happen when you plan the least. I don't know how, but when you let go and just let it happen, it just comes together so well.
Yeah.
And when you plan to make things a certain way, it just doesn't ever live up to those expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're sort of trying to you're sort of trying to fit a preconceived like idea of what's going to happen. And it's like, yeah.
Because that reality has already taken place, but in your own head.
Exactly.
So now here it cannot manifest.
But they say law of attraction though, which is kind of the opposite. Like if you imagine it going exactly that way, it'll happen just like that.
Yeah. But like I reckon when you get really specific with it, like maybe you could be more broad about it and you could make things happen. But when you like really specifically think, oh, this is going to happen, this is how they will react, then it might go a different way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it did go that way, you can read the future.
Or exactly. Or sometimes it happens and then it's not really what you wanted after all.
Although does that happen sometimes? The way you plan it out goes exactly like you say exactly what you want to say and they say what they
okay, that's impossible. No.
Yeah. Or at least like sort of around the ballpark.
It's sort of more in the ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it amounts to being like a loose set of lead-in questions and things that's what it really amounts to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it goes from a very specific plan and then kind of the closer it gets to the actual time, it sort of becomes less and less specific and more just generalized, and then it just ends up being like whatever.
It's connective tissue.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into it. I'm just thinking courses are all the rage right now. Down the track, you could have like a course for people teaching them not only the technical aspect of having a podcast, but like topics and just different strategies. Because like by the sounds of it, there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, I guess there is a
technique.
Yeah. And we were always sort of on the, like, we set about, like when we started, we were like relentless about doing podcasts. We did lots and lots and lots amongst ourselves, lots of different ones that weren't released and things like that. But we were just like, exposure, repetition, get used to the microphones, cameras, get used to talking on and whatnot, and just like throw yourself in the deep end and like, exposure therapy, and slowly you'll adjust. And then once you've adjusted, you'll start to get better and slowly improve. And we're still on that journey now, but it's so much fun just to keep going in and improving. Yeah.
And at least if you really hated it or there's something which is so controversial and you just don't want to release it, you don't have to. But on radio, I don't know how people do it. I would just have an anxiety attack thinking like once it's out there, you could get fired. I don't know. Yeah. That's a whole other level of pressure.
It's harder to condense what you're trying to say. It's harder to compartmentalize it.
Yeah, for
instead of letting it all flow.
Yeah, definitely.
This would be an interesting segue into radio. I think that's always something that's appealed to me. Because I love my music, and then obviously just this whole model as well. I just enjoy it. But also I like the creative freedom that podcasting allows. Like we can swear, we can go for as long as we want. We're not we're not trying to fit into tight time frames, and we don't have the news coming up in 2 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, which appeals to me, because I like to if I'm told I can't do something or I have to behave a certain way, I just absolutely I'm not interested. So that appeals to me as well. And I also, from a social media standpoint, I kind of want to just be like unashamedly transparent and not be like influenced by like certain like expectations and things. Like a lot of people say to me like, I love the podcast, and but wouldn't it be better if they were like shorter episodes and then maybe release more and stuff? But like I kind of stubbornly want to stick to the long form format, because it's just, I'd rather work at that against the grain and prevail than kind of try and tweak it and make it feel unnatural to suit a certain expectation for maybe short-term popularity. So
I think the only thing that's ever appealed to me, or that I've ever thought was worth any time, was Lou McCurdy's lunchtime session on Triple J. So that's the only thing I've ever thought actually worked in the radio format.
Yeah,
and that's because he was semi-podcast. He was a semi-podcast. He would just talk shit.
And that's kind of different for that kind of medium as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triple J, I think, is like one of the best stations. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're awesome.
For music, unearthed. Yeah, it's really big in Melbourne.
Did you listen to the Hottest 100 this year?
No, I didn't. I feel so bad.
You probably didn't miss much.
Yeah.
Except for Ocean Alley, Taken Out.
What was number one?
Ocean Alley with Confidence. Yeah. Beautiful song. Do you listen to them?
No. I probably do.
You should.
Yeah, I should. This is really bad. I just recently deleted my Spotify. I used to love it. I used to always go on it, but I'm going to get it back. But I was like, all these different subscriptions I have are adding up, but deleting Spotify was not the way to go. Like that's the one that needs to stay. Yeah. Because they have podcasts on there and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're on there.
Yeah.
So
shouts out to us.
I've heard that with Spotify, you can get a family like subscription, and then some people just like get all their friends on the account, and you end up paying like $3 a month or something like that. I don't know who would do that.
You split the payment?
So suspicious.
I mean, people do it. I don't do it. I wouldn't rip off a huge corporation like Spotify. I just got absolutely not. But apparently you can get family subscriptions, which allows like up to like 5 or 6 people, and then you can just like link it up with your friends, and you just pay like pennies.
And apparently you can just go into Woolworths and like steal food. Like apparently you can do that.
Did that.
Yeah,
I heard that actually. Yeah,
put something down as onions when it's actually like
or just put in
something more expensive.
Pocket.
Yeah.
Pocket. And I've heard about like there's some websites on the internet, like I've read this on Reddit, that you can like download free textbooks.
I've heard that one as well.
I don't know how to do it or anything like that. Like, what do they say? libgen.ru or, Google libgen and you can get free textbooks. I mean, I just read that.
You read it on Reddit?
Yeah, I read it on Reddit.
This podcast is so good just for that fact alone. Like, that's life-changing.
Oh, I got so many tips on how to like defeat the man, how to get around the system.
I mean, this is probably a well-known old one, and it's quite petty, but I also heard that if you go to the petrol station and for argument's sake, let's say you want to put a roughly 20 litres.
Huh?
You could do it. You want to put 20 litres in your car, get $20 note cash, $20 note. Yeah. It's kind of redundant. And then fill it up to $20.02. I mean, you know what? It all adds up.
And you get an extra 2 cents.
No way.
Super important.
That's insane.
I've heard people have done that. What other stuff do we do that we don't want to say that we do?
Because we don't do it.
Yeah, because we're like good Samaritans and shit.
Do you have any
Oh my god, putting me in the spot. Yeah, I don't want to say anything incriminating. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be incriminating. Just penny pinching.
Probably
pickpocketing.
Oh no.
No, never. Oh no, but I feel really bad about this. When I was 7, I guess I stole my friend's Barbie doll clothes. Like, I just really wanted them, but it still plays on my mind. I'm like, why didn't I do that?
Yeah, you're a monster.
I am a monster, and I guess like when I've been at uni and strapped for cash, like I would, get an avocado as an onion, but
Dude.
yeah,
Who did you get in here?
It's a pretty easy mistake to make.
Yeah, it was just an honest mistake, honestly.
Yeah.
That's so tame. I straight up steal food from Woolworths, and I'm saying it right here. Fuck you, Woolworths.
I mean,
that's just how we end it.
Hey, did you want to
You're never going to get them as a sponsor.
I don't give a shit. Fuck them.
Did you want to talk about anything that's coming up, or people that are listening or watching that want to find out more about what you do and follow you and...
Oh my God, you mean like self-promotion?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? So my... Do I say my Instagram name or?
Yeah,
sure,
yeah, you could say that.
It might come up in a graphic at the start.
Okay.
Yeah.
My Instagram is Das Varlamova.
Okay,
Bit of ASMR. Yeah, so you can follow me if you want or not. I don't know. My content isn't that great, but...
Oh, selling yourself a bit short.
But wait until I'm going to Russia at the end of the year or start of next year. So there'll be some pretty cool content then, I'm hoping. It'll be winter, it'll be snow, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And also keep an eye out for my web series that will hopefully be released this year. And also the brand that I'm working on, which I'm really excited about.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye on your digital space.
Just keep an eye on me. Yeah. Just look at the page and see what's happening. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't need, to be honest, when I launch the brand and all that other stuff, I don't think I'll post about it. I don't know. It's like that thing about having your art and you want to be a bit precious about it. And
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Sure.
keep it separate.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in. It's been a cool
Thank
chat.
you for having me.
That's
It's
all right.
been all over the place.
Yeah,
but I really
it has.
enjoyed it.
Cheers.
Thank you.